Good morning. My name is Mutesi Gasana, and I'm the host of Coffee with Mutesi that brings you different topics: education, parenting, books, and many more. And today we are going to be talking about education. But before I do that, I would like to introduce a friend of mine. He is a parent, he is an educator, he's one of the people that are investing in education. Welcome to the show.
And thank you for hosting me for this noble show. I'm by names of Jean-Pierre Kibuye Mukwende, and as you've just mentioned, I'm passionate about education. I've invested into education, and I think I have something to say about education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have invested into education. But on top of that, most importantly, you are a parent. And I think you're now having some teenagers in your compound, and you have made decisions in life. You have been able to make decisions from the time you decided to take them to nursery school, to primary school, and to high school. I am sure you have those who have even graduated or graduating from university. What should parents be considering as they choose the education? As a person who is starting the journey, what should we be looking for? What should we be looking for in education? What is education anyway? That would be my first question to you this morning.
Thank you once again, Madam Mutesi, but allow me to go a little bit from the beginning and saying that making up my mind to invest into education was just another way of contributing into this beautiful nation that is developing on a daily basis and has gone far in terms of several sectors, among others, education. You are asking about what exactly parents should be looking for while choosing a school or while deciding to take a student in each or that school. Education, by so many scholars, it's about replacing empty mind with an open mind. Yes. Let me not focus on an empty mind because after all it has to be replaced. Let me just focus on an open mind. An open mind means having a student or a kid and make him or her ready for accessing education, for being ready to acquire knowledge and skills, and make sure that that mind is really ready for that. So how do we open a kid's mind? You've got to feed him or her with readiness, pertaining with choices. A kid should have a chance to choose about steps, to choose about what is required to make or to have a proper destiny. I used to talk to my students when I have a chance to conduct a public lecture to our school, Blue Lakes International School. I used to tell them that they may not define exactly their destiny, but at least they have a chance to shape their destiny by choosing, by making right choices. The right choices I used to tell them is about having good friends. You know, there are saying that says, tell me your friends, I'm going to tell you who you are. What do you mean exactly about choosing right friends? You know, friends are different. There are friends who behave different ways. There are friends who may take drugs. There are friends who may take alcohol. There are friends who may be busy into thinking about coupling. So all that the wrong choices. That once you've got to know that that particular friend you are trying to make into your life is a wrong friend. So choices are really and are real, and students have a choice once told to make right choices by making good friends. So that is also another part of opening someone's mind to know what he or she wants, so that while choosing the right friends, while choosing the right choices, already the mind is open and is ready with no disturbance to acquire knowledge, to acquire skills. So briefly, that's what I would say about opening someone's mind and be ready to acquire knowledge and skills.
For that elaborate explanation of education, because I think most parents think that when they're making decisions for their children, they're only looking at the school. What are the other things that a parent should be looking for when they are making a decision? You know, when you have a child and you want to open their mind, and we have heard that you're actually going to school alone, what we call education, is not enough. That is what you said, that it is not enough to just send a child or those children that are at your school. You tell them that education does not define destiny, but definitely it helps them to make the right choices that would lead to destiny. So what are the other key important things that parents should be thinking about?
Thank you once again, Madam Mutesi. I think there is a lot to think about while a parent is choosing a school. First of all, I have to say that education is a package. It's a package of discipline, knowledge, and also skills. And that package has a lot to do with someone's choice, especially parents. Because remember that parents are not the one to go to school. Remember that parents are not the one to make their kids' destiny. They are just there to help. They are enablers. So, having said so, we have also to go another extra mile and say that when you educate or when you choose your kid's school, think about the world, the competition, whether at the world level, continental level, and also national level. So there is also that part of common denominator that becomes as a cross-cutting way of preparing your kid towards the other world. And choosing that education, think about also the denominator that I'm talking about that has to do with a divine perspective that respects our Almighty God. Because remember, here we are talking about humanism. We have to have students who are educated based on humanism. Because if you lose that sense, then the product is not human. We are talking about robots. We are talking about animals. And it's not enough. Robots are there, but they are made by men or women. So let's our kids have the knowledge and skills, but remain human. So when you choose school, choose about that package that involves all I have just mentioned. Thank you very much.
You are still on with the Coffee with Mutesi, and we are with Mr. Kibuye Jean-Pierre, the founder and owner of Blue Lakes International School. We are privileged to be here today talking about education. I want to read something. Aristotle, the great philosopher, said he believed that education was central, that the fulfilled person was an educated person. But he looked at education through reason and education through habit. By the latter, meant learning by doing. Anything that we have to learn to do, we learn by actual doing. But he believed in humanism. You talked about humanism. I have the good ambitions of making sure that my child, by the time they come out, they're human. What is the relationship between education and humanism?
Yeah, there is that way of linking both education and humanism. A good education should also focus on humanism. If it doesn't, then there is a kind of failure in that perspective, yes. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, that we have to learn, or we have to teach our kids how to shape their destiny. By making choices, of course. So it's by avoiding those wrong friends and make sure that you avoid the wrong friends, but show how the right friends should be or should behave. So humanism starts from a social perspective, how a family, how a nation, how a continent and the world should tackle the humanism. So from familyhood, let me mention that humanism starts from home. When both parents decide to make a kid and raise a kid that is ready to fit into the society. If the kid they are raising is not human, and yet that particular kid has to belong into the society, then it's dangerous. Us as a school or schools, we just work on a continuity from home. So what should I tell the parents? There are those do's and don'ts, what we call in Kinyarwanda kirazira, or ubunyangamugayo. A kid should be raised by tackling all those. Make sure that by telling him or her that this is not doable, this is true, this is right, this is wrong, at least you are shaping a kid that is in the near future going to be fitting into the society.
Wow. Fitting into the society.
Yes. So, a society also has rules. That's why if you don't pay attention and you raise a kid that abides by rules, he or she will not be able to fit into society. That's why you'll see your kid absent at home, may be apprehended by enforcing laws, enforcing agents, and at the end of the day, you are not the loser. You are not the only one losing, but the society is losing. Because that kid is supposed to be contributing to the society. Not harming the society, not destroying the society, but contributing. So humanism, by say, should be learned from home and also keep also learning from school and make sure that even at the later age, the education continues. If the parents are done with their role, the school takes over, the society also takes over. So it's a continuity. As I mentioned, common denominator to shape a human being has to be a strong foundation with a clear spiritual belief that respects God. After all, knowledge without God's respect or respecting our Almighty is nothing. Yeah.
I like humanism. You know, you say that two people make a decision to bring another person in this world. And I want to come back to the side of children who don't, by the way, make a decision to come here. Everything we are doing is making decisions for them. And I would like to read something that a friend of mine sent me. Parents should understand that their past world and global dynamics have changed and should not think their children's future will be. Things have changed. Parents should be very careful. That is what he said. We don't live in a world where a parent, for example, should push and shove his son or daughter into studying to become a medical doctor just because the parent grew up admiring doctors. I like that. You are passionate about education, but there's an education system that brought you up. When you compare the two, do you think there are pros and cons about the two systems? Because they're totally different. The system that you went through and the system that your children are going through.
I think there is a sort of disparities or difference between our time's education and today's education, because simply because students today have options and they have a lot of opportunities, and they should also take chance of that. Today, I must say that education has developed so much, and education itself is giving the students today ways to choose and go even further, to innovate and derive from what they have learned into another perspective of education. We need to be careful, because we're not the ones to live our kids' life. They're the ones. And parents should also remember that situation keeps changing.
Yes.
And let those kids that are at school today learn a lot of skills through knowledge, tangible knowledge, and be reminded, I'm talking about students, they should be reminded that the world they are in today is very much competitive. They are likely to incubate what to sell in the near future. If they are to sell their products, the products may be services, may be innovated products, fine, but whatever they are incubating today should be also competitive. Because out there, the market is not only for them, it's for everybody. So from there, they have to make sure that what they are bringing has some uniqueness and is ready for sale. With no impurities, with something that can attract those consumers. So, to be frank, the kids today, yes, they have choices, they have options, but they are also into a big competition. Yes, they are graduating, but remember, there are those who graduated before and have experience. But let's assume experience doesn't matter a lot, and give a chance to innovation, something attractive, something that can help these contemporary problems that we are facing in terms of infrastructure, COVID-19, and its related variants, which has become a challenge for this market. So I think that kids should also learn how to evolve with this market and dynamics of the market, and make sure that whatever we feed them are something that can help them to incubate really and disseminate their knowledge and services and products. Thank you.
So children should be able to know that there's a lot of global dynamics that are going on. They should know that innovation is now taking the lead in the world, and they should be able to know and focus on what they're doing, knowing that everyone is innovating all over the world. But let us come back to something you talked about, the belief system, building the belief system of your children. Someone just sent this text. Just give your child an open horizon to the many opportunities possible that exist today, and let the child make her or his own discoveries of where they want to go. We have so many opportunities in music, in dance, in drama, in sports, creative writing, and literature that kids have abundance of talent in, but it goes to waste because it is not discovered and nurtured at a child's tender age, and it ends up being wasted. There's something that you talked about earlier of connecting humanism and education. And I want us to look at our continent, Africa. And I'm going to be asking a very delicate question, I think. African education has been laid by churches in the past. And I was actually thinking about it as you were talking about. The education system, especially in the most of African countries, was invented. Let me call it invented. According to the current trends of education. But Africans had their education before. I remember they had a training ground for Kumasha, which was like for Rwanda, which was like a training ground for the army. They were doing mathematics on Imigongo, and I know that is something that we were doing before the colonials came and gave us another definition of education. And I think people have been lost into that kind of education. And you talked about spiritualism. I want us to think about how do you raise a spiritual being that is not compromised by religious colonial mindset of education? It's a very tough question. How do you balance spirituality, the choices of the parent, who may be based on the education that you got? Sometimes we have that, and then balancing the current pressure of wanting to create and innovate and all those things. How do you balance that?
Thank you very much. I think both go together. Spirituality, respecting God, prayers, and also working hard. They go both together because even the Bible, they say that if you haven't worked should not eat. Easy. So all the same. So what I'm trying to say here is about the time management.
Yes.
How you allocate time. Mm-hmm. Yes, God's first. But remember, you have to work hard so that you can pay the bills, so that you can develop yourself and develop the society. So time allocation matters because you will not tell me that you are going to spend the whole day praying and tell your kids later that, you know what, I've been very busy praying, that's why I don't have food today. No. Or suppose you are a civil servant, you have to work for maybe an agency, a given agency, and you will consume their time praying and tell them that you haven't performed their tasks because you went to pray. No. So let us just try to be real and give in this real world. And remember that as long as we live, there are some needs that are required or acquired, and people should perform to make sure that they can at least achieve those felt or there are some categories of needs. You have basic felt needs. There are those who have gone far into luxury, but I'm talking about felt and at least basic needs. So I don't like to talk about felt needs because it's so cheap. But at least the basic needs you can start with and make sure that you go even further to produce more so that even the affordability of luxury is there. So to me, let me just give my point of view that spiritual is a fact. Spirituality is a fact. We cannot go beyond that. But what is the amount of time allocated for that particular time to pray, to have people praying? Because even churches, I think, needs people who work hard so that they can support the churches. So all in all, let's not people be fooled. Yes, they shouldn't be fooled. They have to know how to allocate time and to manage their time and make sure that their contribution remains constant and effective.
The time is not on our side, but I wish I had a lot of questions. Every time you're talking, I get a lot of questions to ask. But as we come to the end of our talk show today, where do you see the education of Rwanda? As a person who is in education, as a person who is passionate about education, there's a reason why you found the need and you decided to invest in education.
Thank you very much for that particular question about education and the status of it today. I must say that education in Rwanda is taken care of, and I have also to thank our leadership. On top of that, our President of the Republic of Rwanda, for the hard working, for the way of shaping this nation and have it in a good move. Today I must say that education, if I have to go deeper into maybe the curriculum and the setup, it is really complete. Because if you try to compare with, because like at our school, Blue Lakes International School, we have several programs. We have a REB program, we have a Cambridge program, we have also BTEC. I must say that national curriculum is also a very, very strong one, because it is also competence-based, and it has to do something with the BTEC. BTEC is a Pearson product, which is called Business and Technology Education Council. So, where a student graduates with a diploma, not a certificate. And if you see the setup, if you look at the setup of BTEC, and you compare also with our national curriculum, you find out that there are some similarities, and at the end, the product is really superb. So, for sure, I appreciate the way our education is working hard to make sure that we have a proper and real content that has to do with the world and society development. So today, if I may understand very well your question, we need, first of all, try to see how we can focus on our extracurricular. Because not only we need that knowledge, but we've got to understand that skills drawn from the knowledge are very important. And make sure that the skills our students, our kids acquire from the knowledge are used into their extracurriculum, and there is proper supervision, because for other countries that have gone far with the extracurriculum, you find out that 40% is in-person teaching, and 70% is extracurriculum. And that's where you find students find themselves, understand the world, understand what is needed out there, and come out with a solution. So if our kids today can be nurtured into solution-based approach, I think that would contribute so much, not only to our nation, but the continent, African continent, and the world. Why not?
Our time to close up, but I want you to give me, tell us more about Brurex, because I think it would be unfair if you're talking about education, and maybe there are parents who are listening, they would want to bring their children to Brurex. What are the key 3 important things that you consider to be the uniqueness of Brurex?
Thank you very much. About the uniqueness, As I told you at the beginning, I told you about the package. We have to offer a package. There's nothing you can leave behind. No. At Blue Lakes, we do care about health. Because if you do not have health, then the rest is nothing. So when I am talking about health here, I have to put emphasis on feeding. I have to put emphasis on welfare, because those are the main and key aspects that would have a student healthy and later on goes on with studies. So now, after all those, we have a very good conducive environment that helps a student, first of all, to be open. We don't educate by intimidating. No. We educate by giving a chance a student to understand his or her environment, be ready to open his or her mind, talk to teachers where things are wrong, where things are right, participate into his or her own education. Because after all, as I mentioned, it's not about us. It's about them. Let them be free, mind-wise. Let them be free by doing sports, develop their physical fitness. By the way, we are also going to focus so much about physical fitness by offering opportunities and discounts for those who take into consideration physical fitness. And make sure that if you do participate into one or two sports, you are even lucky to have more discounts. So all in all, we do care about that package, but we also care about human development, physical development, health development. You mentioned it. Because health nowadays matters, especially nowadays that we are facing a lot of health challenges, whereby by slight mistake, your misbehavior has an impact on the rest of your roommates, your classmates. You mentioned it. So let's be frank and be sure that what we give as educators match with the environment and the situation and the real world we are living in. So at Blue Lakes, we try to give it. At Blue Lakes, we try also to go further, even innovate, and make sure that our kids will not regret. And it has also started because we have developed a very strong alumni that try to feed us the feedback and know exactly how they are behaving outside there in the different world and the challenges they have. And it's through their feedback that we manage to also redo and reshape our policies at our school and make sure that what we give is even better. So we are also trying to set a policy of incubation whereby they will attend or they will join Blue Lakes International School only those who belong to our incubation. That means we shall start from primary incubation. Understand, well, we are not having primary school, but we try to pattern. No. We try. Thank you very much for asking that question, but we are trying to partner with those who have primary schools and have a strong partnership so that we can also taking over from where they have reached and make sure that they have their extra curriculum from our school during summer camps and keep busy those kids spiritually, physically, intellectually, and make sure that by the time they join Blue Lakes, they are better off and best. Thank you.
We are coming to the close of Coffee with Mutesi. This is our third episode, and see you next time on episode 4. And we'll still be talking about education, because education is something that makes us all better teachers, good soldiers, good doctors, good lawyers, all go through the education system. But what does education actually provide? Watching.